A bill aimed at protecting Florida students from lead poisoning at school once again fails to drum up the support from lawmakers. It's the second year in a row that this legislation's gone nowhere.
But as ABC 27 investigator Katie LaGrone discovers, while state efforts have gone down the drain, the potential that your child could be exposed to lead in the water at school isn't going away.
We're causing brain damage to our children
by just sending them to school.
by sending them to school.
There should be some communities that are completely outraged that this is happening right now.
If you think the lead in schools problem is fixed in Florida,
You tested filtered,
Were the kids being exposed to lead at those fountains?
and so what did you find out?
before we answer that, you should know this.
The results are not good.
More than a year ago, ABC 27 Investigates discovered most Florida school districts do not test school water for lead.
You're talking about the health of our children.
Longtime pediatrician turned lead prevention activist Lynn Ringenberg says can have devastating impacts, especially on the brains and bodies of young children.
Up to probably 6 or 8 years of age, that's the key vulnerability.
In Hillsborough County, after word got out in 2018 that many of its older public schools tested high for lead in the water, the district created this webpage to be more transparent. According to its last update, posted that same year, of 130 schools tested, more than 20% had lead levels above 15 parts per billion, the federal standard for action. 2 fountains at this one elementary school tested 4 and 5 times that standard. The results outraged parents.
I was amazed.
Got this one back there.
Inspired other school districts to start testing.
We know this is something we need to get going.
One lawmaker even proposed a new state law to require filters at older schools statewide. But a year and a half later, we've learned little to nothing has changed on school lead efforts.
It's a hugely important issue, and it's one that is really flying under the radar right now.
For the second year in a row, lawmakers recently failed to move the school filter bill forward. Money, explains Representative Evan Jenny, who introduced it this year.
We have a $90 billion budget. If we want to spend $3 million, or even if it's $100 million, we have the money to do it. It's just a matter of prioritizing that.
And while a handful of school districts, including Manatee, have started testing on their own since our investigation began,
there's been interest in this, and so we felt like it was a good time to do that.
most school districts still tell us they don't, relying instead on public utilities, which is limited since testing isn't done on campus, and the source of lead is often old drinking fountains. It's a lack of action that has once again earned the Sunshine State a shiny F from Environment America, a research and policy group that grades states on how well it protects children from the lead in the water at school.
There really is no safe level of lead.
Which brings us back to Dr. Lynn Ringenberg. 2 months ago, she teamed up with Paragon Water Systems, a Tampa-based filter manufacturer. They tested about a dozen Paragon filters installed at 2 schools in Tampa.
We had never followed up to see how they were performing.
And so what did you find out?
So we found out that the filters all were working.
According to their results, of 14 samples they collected from filtered water fountains on campus, all came back far below what federal standards deem safe.
These filters provide an extra level of protection.
But take a closer look. 2 of their samples tested over 1 part per billion. That's above what the American Academy of Pediatrics says is safe for kids.
It was disturbing. Yeah, it was disturbing.
Were you surprised?
I don't think filters are 100% the answer.
Lead in schools problem isn't over yet in Florida.
It's not over, and I think that's a big issue.
Many variables could have impacted those filtered results, but again, those tests came back below federal safety standards. Statewide action on hold for at least another year when lawmakers can take up the state's school lead problem for a 3rd time. Katie LaGrone, ABC 27 Investigates.